This meeting is being recorded. Hey guys, it's Kelly Church, and I am here to talk to you about not giving up and about working your business through tough times. And we're going to ask some questions at first. And if you could kind of silently answer these and think about maybe you or someone that you know that have worked their business through a trial, this will kind of help set the precedent for what we're going to talk about today. So, how many have you, how many of you have had to do long-term care for a loved one? What about having a parent, child, or loved one get diagnosed with a terminal or serious disease? Who has experienced a recession during their business? Who has gone through a divorce? What about having a baby during your business? What about has anyone experienced the loss of a spouse, a child, or a parent during their business? Have you or your spouse had a job loss? Has anyone had to go into the hospital for more than a week as a consultant or a leader? Who has had to move during their business? Has anyone had a family member get seriously injured long term during their business? Life happens, right? It can be really challenging. It has joys as well as challenges, and some challenges that you experience can be more difficult than others. So, I'm going to be authentic for a moment and personally share a couple of experiences I've had during my 21 years as a leader in Pampered Chef. But of course, if you're not in Pampered Chef, you can apply this to any business that you're in because we're always going to have hills and valleys in the businesses that we run. I like the word authentic versus the word vulnerable because I think authentic is useful and vulnerable is not. So I am going to be authentic, and I think they mean similar things. So I had a situation where I was stuck in the hospital for 6 weeks, and I had a preemie that was 8 weeks early. After the baby was born, then he had to stay in the hospital for 4 more weeks. I wanted to work. I had the desire, but physically I was restrained. Can anyone relate? What do you do? 9 years later, we fostered and then adopted 3 additional children. They got placed with us when they were 3, 7, and 9. We went from 3 kids to 6 kids all at once. I wanted to work on my business, but literally didn't have the time with all the appointments and unique needs that given the trauma that they had experienced as children. Has anyone ever had the desire but was constrained with time? What do you do? So I've experienced the loss of 2 of my children. One was a baby girl that was delivered at 23 weeks in October of 2009, and the other one was 21 years old, and she experienced brain health challenges. I like saying brain health versus mental health because nobody wants to be mental. And brain health, I'd say, is more accurate description when you suffer from anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts. So she lost her battle by taking her own life in June of 2021. I experienced a loss of drive and desire for the first time in my business, but I had the time. Can anyone relate? What on earth do you do? So, when we experience challenges during our business, and we all will, you might find yourself questioning your business and how you're going to get through it. Sometimes you have to immediately jump in and handle the situation for a bit. And we do that when we need to as a friend, a spouse, a mother, father, or family member. But after the immediate seriousness settles, then what? So I found that doing an assessment can help. A key point in assessing the situation is doing it without judgment. When judgment is present, feelings of guilt, obligation, pressure, or fear can have an influence. These emotions are not useful. And when we assess our situation, you can experience clarity, upgrade, grace, and creativity. These emotions are useful. To start your assessment, we first want to look at the factors of play. And these questions will help you figure out what the factors of play are. Number one, what is required of you? Number two, what aligns for you? Number three, what is your time commitment? Once you decide these three factors at play, then you can move on to step four, which is creating, creating what your business will look like during this trying time. So let's talk about each one for a few minutes. First, what is required of you for yourself and or your family unit? Set aside 1 or 2 times a week in your schedule as think time. This is uninterrupted. That means no phone and no computer. So personally, I choose to not do this at my desk where I'll have interruptions with notifications from my computer or phone. A lot of times I'll take a piece of paper or pen out and sit on my back porch. This is very helpful to set aside this think time. Usually 30 minutes is what I start with. And if I find that I'm still in inquiry and thinking about it, then I'll schedule another 30-minute time frame for another day that week. So this will help you assess what is required of you. Think about why you're feeling the way you are, why this is affecting your drive, your time, or your desire. Has anything helped you find clarity in the past? Next, you can assess your income, assess the flexibility of this business, assess the team support that we have. These are both very unique to Pampered Chef and maybe other businesses that you have, and you may not be able to find them with working another job. Could you get by doing less on your business temporarily? Could you still be a green director or a green leader? Could you take a leave for a month? Assess what works for you and what is required of you. Number two, you need to decide what aligns for you. And usually, I'm going to talk to alignment just for a second because this is usually something that you know immediately. So, for instance, it's easy for me to explain alignment by using a couple of examples. For example, does it align for you to cheat on your spouse? You usually have an immediate yes or no answer. Another example might be, does it align for you to steal from a store or shoplift? That's usually when you know what your alignment is. If you just don't want to do something or don't feel like doing something, that falls under a different description. If it aligns for you within your being, like in your core, then you move to the next step. For me, it is always aligned for me to continue with this business, even though it may look different for a while. So, number three is assessing your time. Can you cut out any of your current time commitments? Can you work during a nap time or after a bedtime? Can you find pockets of time during the day for 15 or 20 minutes? Would the weekend be better or worse to put in some time? For example, can you get by for a couple months, let's say 6 months, by working less hours and then increase again after the situation has improved? All of these have to do with assessing your time. After these first three steps, then you can finally start to create. And we are creators. You're creating something right now. What are you creating? Your actions, feelings, thoughts, they're all producing something. Creation. Can you combine a set of shows and do texting parties? Would you be better off doing 15-minute express shows? Would using an app like Boards help make host coaching quick and simplified? Would hiring an assistant to do housework or grocery shopping or driving kids to activities or babysitting adult or children, depending on the situation, be useful to free up an hour or two for you each week? Would it help by doing a grocery pickup? That frees up an hour of shopping. I'd like to use an example of someone on my team who cares for her disabled husband. And he's very disabled. He has to use a wheelchair and recently actually had one of his legs amputated above the knee. So he needs help from the bed to the wheelchair, and then from the wheelchair back to the bed, and so forth as he interacts throughout the day. So she decided personally that block parties worked well for her, so she didn't have to check in with a party each week. And she does up to 4 a week. When you think about what will work for you time-wise and what you can create, a lot of times options will open up. So think about if you've tried a new idea or concept in the past when life has happened. You can share below what one of those options are. Maybe it'll help someone else. So the last thing that I want to talk about today is desire or drive. So by assessing what I did feel like doing, or what I was capable of doing, or what I was able of doing, when I was thinking about what I had around the death of my older daughter, my 21-year-old, I could come up with solutions that worked for me. So for instance, some of these were giving myself time to feel sad. I would go out on our porch swing and I would listen to my Jada playlist. And this was full of songs that either reminded me of her or songs that people sent to me after she passed. And a lot of times I would cry through the songs and allow my body the time to grieve and heal. And this was very useful. A lot of times I would feel better after taking some time to help myself and my body feel sad. Another example would be allowing yourself time to maybe see a counselor. I'm seeing a counselor that really aligned with me and had some useful thoughts on grief. And I do feel better after I see her, and I usually go to her once a month. I also started a scripture study class on Thursdays. It was a good midweek uplift for me. And I'm still doing it today. It's been over a year now, a year and a couple of months. By doing these actions, it helped fill my cup so that I could work on my business. And another thing is I made sure to exercise every day. When I exercised, it helped my mood and it helped my mindset. So during my think time, I had set aside time to assess my drive and desire. And again, I set aside 30 minutes. And I came to the conclusion that personally, I did not want to quit. I did not want to find another job. That didn't align for me. I then looked at what was important to me at the time. Flexibility was important, and Pampered Chef has plenty of that. Maybe your job does too. If it doesn't, then you know who to contact. Being at home with my kids was important to me, and I could do that with Pampered Chef. Being a leader still was very important to me. However, with that being said, holding a certain title wasn't. As long as I kept my leader title, I was good with that during this time. Also, I am one of the top recruiters in the company. I've hit my 200 career qualified recruits. I've actually signed over 300 people. Recruiting was a big part of my business. But right after Jada passed, it took me about a year to a year and a half before I was willing and able to recruit again. I know with mentoring people and helping them start their business, I needed to have the right mindset to do that. And for me, it just didn't work for for that time frame. However, it does work now. So after assessing, I was able to increase that and include that into my business again now. So real quick, I'd like to share during the times where I had my preemie and during the times where I had the 3 adopted kids that joined our family. We had so many appointments sometimes during the week where it would take a whole morning or a whole day. Sometimes 3 or 4 appointments in one week. Because of my Pampered Chef business, it allowed me to attend these appointments and to be able to put these children first. I know I would not have had that time with a regular 9 to 5 job. Pampered Chef was my personal answer during these two challenges. Pampered Chef was still the answer during the loss of my daughter Jada. Getting these answers as part of my assessment was so powerful for me. It was powerful for me to discover that I didn't want to quit and that I wanted to keep going. It was powerful for me to decide how to work my business during those trying times. And I think you'll decide that it's powerful for you too, being able to set aside that think time and coming to a decision. Schedule the think time. Work it into your business, into your calendar, into your phone. And like I said, usually 30 minutes is good. If you need more time, schedule another 30-minute session. Do an assessment without judgment. Start creating what your business will look like for now with your personal challenges. And without judgment, be content with the new look on your business. It may be temporary while you work through this time and this season in your life. I'll give you an example. When my 3 adopted kids came, I was used to being a top performer in the company. I would earn an award called excellence every year, sometimes in multiple categories. I would also earn a trip every year. And during this time frame, I had to take a step back. And so without judgment, I had to be okay with my business for that time frame not earning a trip and not earning excellence. We always say that in this business, our family is first. And I had to put my family first for a little bit. I knew it wouldn't be forever, and I knew I wouldn't have to give up those things that are important to me forever, but for then, it was okay to give it up, and I had to, without judgment, be okay with that. So, without judgment, be okay with where you are in your business, and if you're looking to create, make sure to talk to someone about it. Get an accountability partner or talk to your upline. Let them know what you're struggling with. And when you set aside that think time, let them know what you decide. And a lot of times the power is in the decision. So I challenge you guys to get through these trials with your business, set aside some think time, and see what will work for you. When you do, you'll gain your power back. Good luck. I'll see you soon. Bye.